right now joining us from The Athletic, and I apologize for the tardiness. I'm not going to blame that on Jim Cozumore, but I'm not going to not blame that on our conversation with Coz. The one, the only Sam Amick. Good morning, Sam.
Good morning, David. You didn't need to apologize. I just wanted to make sure my phone was actually working.
You allot us 20 minutes a week, and you are very much sought after by many, not only local, but national radio shows. And your time is money, Sam. And I know you, for one, are always here for us. We want to be there for you, too.
Funny you should mention that. Shout out producer Jay from the afternoon show. I was not there for him yesterday, but for most of the time, yes.
Well, at least for us. I didn't say for anyone else.
Yeah.
Sam,
right.
Can I start out asking you what might be an uncomfortable question?
I love those. Those are the best. You know how to make me squirm. Let's go.
I know maybe I'm misreading this, but I always not shy away, but I tiptoe when I put somebody like you in a position where you're dealing with both people you cover and people that are colleagues of yours in a sense. But I want to ask you this: the whole Chris Broussard, Kevin Durant back and forth. I texted with Kevin Durant. No, he didn't. You don't have my number. Well, I meant instant message. Blah, blah, blah. As just from your perspective, is this like one of your worst nightmares when you, as a journalist, are inserted into what becomes a very big story for some reason? Would that just give you cold sweats?
There's two schools of thought. I mean, for one, not to dodge the question, but it's like, it is what it is. It's like, it's two people going back and forth. I mean, you don't like to be part of the story. I'm trying to, on the fly, think of the closest that I've had to that. And this is a very old school reference, but you remember the old Reggie Theus, Kevin Martin back and forth?
I do.
Does that ring a bell?
Yeah, a while ago.
And so, I literally wound up on these cage-to-cage airwaves at one point going back and forth with Reggie. We did not agree about, the meaning behind Kevin's quote. And Reggie had defended himself. And then I think somebody from the station basically was like, let's get Sam involved here. And admittedly, and I love everybody there, but I do remember feeling a little blindsided at the time.
Right.
I don't think I knew that Reggie was on the air. But so then next thing you know, it's like, oh God, this is just a night, like it's a train wreck. So that was uncomfortable. That's probably the closest I've experienced to this. That being said, I mean, I don't blame Broussard at all, because once Kevin questioned his credibility, and he really did, listen, I've enjoyed covering Kevin his own career. I mean, he's very condescending sometimes towards the media. And it's like, well, then don't be surprised if people come back at you. And that's the whole thing. And I can tell you, and full disclosure to the listeners, you and I did exchange a few notes about that Broussard situation last night off air. I 100% believe what Broussard is saying.
Gotcha.
And without going into details, that's very much in character for something Kevin would do.
Sam and I texted back and forth for about 5 hours last night about this whole thing.
Actually, the best part is you just called it a text. It was a DM.
It was a DM. And that always pisses me off about you, too. Sam has my phone number and will DM me on Twitter. It's like, dude, I don't trust Twitter DMs. Sam goes, well, I have it open. I mean, it's convenient.
I don't want to switch platforms. I'm in the Twitter sphere.
Talking about switching platforms, that's a great segue. You've been very close. I think you have done, and I'm not just kissing ass here, but I kind of am, the best job of anyone with Jeannie Buss and the Lakers saga, not just recently, but really as a larger body of work over the last few years. You have access to Jeannie, and you use it, and she's been I think, very open with you, and you've got a good finger on the pulse. Sam, I hate the Lakers. It's just born and bred in me, but I've always had a lot of respect for Magic Johnson, the human being, and obviously what he's been through personally. So I was very clear to say that I was only speaking about him as an executive. I thought what he did was cowardly, and that's a terrible thing to say. I think he has crapped all over his legacy, in part as a human being, and anybody who can actually make me feel sorry a little bit for the owner of the Lakers, who is not without fault. You got to be doing something wrong. You put out a piece recently, and I agreed with a lot of the things you said. Can you help me out at all with Magic? I don't see how he could have handled this any worse.
I mean, I can't help you out because I don't know his motive. One of the it's either like it's got to be. I would suspect one of two things. One is that, and he has been accused of this before, that his level of narcissism is so great that he simply cares only about getting this stuff off his chest, clearing his good name, and then let the damage be what it is towards the organization that he claims to love. Or, the more pragmatic theory that's been floating around, and to be very clear, this is just speculative theory, is there have been times in the past when he indicated that he would love to own the Lakers. And in fact, he was asked by Stephen A. Smith in that First Take interview about that, and he seemed pretty thirsty toward that idea. And so then the strategy conceivably would be, you gaslight the Lakers to such a degree that Jeannie just decides that she doesn't like this anymore and she's going to sell the team to you. I don't know what his motive was, but I mean, you called it cowardly. I called it selfish. You know me well enough. Like, I'm not a Skip Bayless. I don't run around, doing that type of thing. I just don't ever react well. It's weird. You got to know yourself, right? Like, all these years covering the league, I can pull out 5 or 6 times when I went kind of scorched earth in a column. And one of the common threads, the stuff that clearly triggers me is egocentrism on this level. And when people are selfish and they treat other people poorly, to elevate themselves. And that's when I end up kind of pulling out the blowtorch. It's almost subconscious. I'm going to be honest with you. It's like I'm at the Blazers-Warriors game and I just decide, like, all right, I got to get this off my chest. And so that's kind of where my mindset was at. But no, I mean, you're right. Jeannie has made a ton of mistakes, but to make her a sympathetic figure right now is pretty challenging, and he did kind of do that.
Sam Amick joining us right now. Sam, Kevin Durant out there, 5-0 without him so far. DeMarcus Cousins out. What are you hearing, if anything, about one or both of them coming back during the finals?
So the Warriors have given indications that Cousins was ahead of the timeline ahead of Kevin.
Yep.
And so that would lead me to believe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know this for sure. I'm starting to think maybe DeMarcus gets a couple minutes in game one, just because you're talking about such a length of time between now and then. But I don't have a daily update on that. On the Kevin front, it's a little. I mean, the bottom line is that every day of rehab truly matters. And so it's just, we don't know yet. That's the bottom line. They have to continue to see progress. He has to continue to feel progress, and then we'll see when we get closer to the finals. Now, the two different public statements that have been made by people who would know that are a little contradictory. I talked to Joe Lacob after Game 4 in Portland, and he, in passing, made a pretty, straightforward comment about how they were going to be getting Kevin back for the finals, seemed to be confident. And then Rich Kleiman, Kevin's agent and manager, I'm sure you saw this, he was on a panel for the Wall Street Journal just the other day. He was asked about the injury, and he said that he could not even say that Kevin was going to play in the finals at all. So both ends of the spectrum, I think we'll know more in the next 4 or 5 days.
I'm gonna fax you over some tinfoil real quick. Put it on your head. I'm gonna put mine on right now. Is there a chance? I mean, legit, logical chance in your mind? Somebody floated this to me the other day. Could Kevin Durant be out for the year, and the Warriors pretty much know that, and they really just look at that and say, "There's really no advantage to us saying that," and maybe by miracle he can come back. But do you think there's a chance they are severely underplaying what his injury is?
I don't have any reason to believe that.
Okay.
Also, by the way, nobody faxes things anymore.
I know, sorry. That's a great point.
I mean, I hear you, but I mean, we'll see. I don't know. The other thing is, like, the shaping of it, I mean, I almost would spin it the other way. My tinfoil hat theory about Rich Kleiman's comments was that if you're his representative, you undersell and over-deliver. So if he comes back, he looks like a hero, and you have told the world that he might not come back at all. And so maybe that's what ends up happening here. The other aspect here that is going to make the next 7 to 10 days so interesting is that there are like scenarios that are still possible that I just think are like unprecedented in terms of their level of uncomfortableness, meaning that what if, hypothetically, let's say the Warriors go into Milwaukee or Toronto and they win the first 2 games on the road.
Yep.
Then without Kevin. Then Kevin is ready, and that's when it gets uncomfortable, because now if you're Kevin Durant, it's like 3 years you've been dealing with being like the adopted son. Yep. Like daddy just doesn't look at you the same. Right. And daddy being the Warriors fan base. And now, they have swept the Blazers without you. They finished the Rockets without you. They're up on the Eastern Conference champions. And at that point, it's like, man, all you can do is all you can do is mess this up, because if you help them get it over the top, nobody truly believes anymore that you were the difference. And then if you, God forbid, lose, then that's another stain and another negative experience with the Warriors. So it's going to be really interesting to see how it unfolds.
I'll tell you what else is interesting. Walked into had a little event last week down at a big hotel here in Sacramento. I went in. My wife wanted a bourbon and ginger ale. I went in there and I got the bill. I slid my card. I also got myself just a regular soda. I wasn't drinking. I was the designated driver that night, Sam. I got myself the bill and I slid my card and I looked down at what my wife had ordered, and it was just it was regular bourbon, not generic, but not top shelf, and some ginger ale. I looked at the amount and I thought, my God, this is actually more than I pay each month for my athletic subscription. And I want to make sure everybody understands that for less than the price of a drink at your friendly neighborhood bar, you can read wonderful work by people like Sam Amick, Jason Jones, Matt Barrows, and so many more, Kyle.
Did she order a bourbon and corduroy?
She did not order a bourbon and corduroy. She did not order a cushy poker player bourbon. No, she ordered just a straight bourbon and ginger ale. But hey, she could have not ordered that bourbon, and she could have had herself an athletic subscription for an entire month and a much healthier liver. So go to theathletic.com and get yourself a subscription today. How was that? Was that okay?
That was good. Jokes aside, can we, forget about drinks. I think, Kyle, we need to get our buddy Taro Makuni. I think there needs to be a cushy poker player roll.
Okay, only if there can be a quarter roll.
Those both work pretty well, actually.
Just combine them half and half. Sam, you do a great job, and I know you're in the playoffs right now. We're not asking you about the Kings because, quite frankly, and I don't mean to, I mean no disrespect by this, but I imagine your eyes are firmly focused on what's right in front of you right now, which is this NBA Finals. As the season winds down, for our audience who's wondering, I'm going to dig more into the Kings with you as hopefully things relax and you take a bit of a vacation.
Yeah, no, I mean, that's a late July thing. Right. But, the King stuff is still kind of evolving. They're still talking to assistants, and that part is progressing slowly, but it is progressing. And then, I know you saw the stuff at the Combine. Or was Luke at the Combine? I think he was.
Yeah. And then I saw the thing that they had spoken to JB Bicker's staff, and we've heard that in Jeff Hornacek's name as well. So, right. All's well that ends well. Much developing, much like our beautiful friendship. It's Sam Amick, who makes his appearance every Thursday at 8:05. Sam, we appreciate you. Thank you, buddy.
You got it.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Take care. That is Sam Amick.
You're listening to The Drive.